Thanks for coming this afternoon. My name's Jenny. As the slide says, I'm a teacher at DERA International School. I have been teaching there for just over 5 years now, and I'm currently a Year 2 teacher. What I'm hoping to do today is tell you a little bit about how we engage writers at DERA and how we do that through the provision of a worldwide audience. The points you see on the slide behind me I'm hoping to cover, touching briefly on the need to approach literacy in a different way in a changing world, how we do it at DIS and what informs our practice, how it is that we go about engaging our writers, and then a few suggestions of what's worked for us from our experiences that might also work for you at your school. A little bit of background about me. I'm currently finishing my master's studies, so I read a lot, and the quote behind me is one of the many bits of literature that I've read recently about the need to adapt our teaching practice in response to the children that we're dealing with. It cannot be argued that the children that we're teaching come with experiences of technology that are beyond what we've been exposed to in our schooling. And there's a definite push in lots of literature and research just now to move pedagogy along and respond and work with the students and their approaches to technology. The point that I've highlighted about connections is something which I hope to build on through the presentation, because for me the tool that I'm going to talk to you about particularly really focuses on connections. So connections between the teacher and the student, the connections between students and other students, and first, and the most important one in my view, is the connection between the students and the actual purpose of their learning and the purpose of their writing. As I mentioned, we're exposed to students who come with a wealth of knowledge far beyond many of our own knowledge to do with technology. I'm sure that the students that you work with have had vast experiences, and you may also have had vast experiences of some of these technology tools. The research into Web 2 technology shows that the engagement of users of Web 2 technology is significantly raised when there's a meaningful purpose and there's a two-way interaction. The whole point of Web 2 is it's not just reading from a screen and taking information, it's participatory, it's taking part, it's getting involved, it's having a purpose. Now, at DIS, we recognise our students as being very digitally literate, to varying degrees, but as I say, they come with their experiences. Whether you agree or disagree with the terminology of digital natives and digital immigrants is another debate for another day, but certainly we recognise that even the youngest of our students come equipped with experiences and skills that we want to build on. So how do we do it? At DIS, we embrace social media. We've moved from being a little bit afraid of the implications of social media, and we've really gone with it as a school. Our DIS Twitter is very active. It's a means to bring together the whole school community, and it's not only given us as teachers the opportunity to share with the students how to safely and productively use social media, it's also given the students a voice themselves. We also have a DIS Facebook, which is followed and shared with lots of our parents and wider school community. Again, it's about getting the children's learning and the experiences that they're having at school out there, but it's also about developing a sense of responsibility. They've got a worldwide audience. When you publish something, when you share something, when you post something on social media, it's out there. So even from the very, very youngest stages, we're showing the children that you've got digital responsibility. If you want to appeal to a worldwide audience, there's implications of that, and we're showing them from a very, very young age how to take part in that safely. Our vision at DIS recognises the fact that our children are global citizens and that we want them to become responsible learners who have developed a sense of community that goes well beyond our classrooms, well beyond our school campus. We want them to see that they are globally connected and they have responsibilities and they've got things that they can give and share in a worldwide sense. The tool that I'm going to talk to you about today, I feel, and I know that lots of my colleagues also feel, kind of embodies our vision, it really does help us to push lots of things there, particularly the multicultural side of learning, the sharing, the community, and the responsibility of being a global citizen. The vision is, as I'm sure in all your schools, very closely aligned with our strategic planning at DAERA, and also with our own CPD targets and the drives and initiatives that are going on at the school. It's a really exciting place to work just now, and it's been a place that's really developed and changed over my time working there. The points you see underneath the vision there, assessment, the drive to promote and encourage and understand UAE culture, the importance of real-life learning and embedding technology in what we're doing. These are all really important things for us as a school and us as a community of teachers. The teacher professional development side of things is something that's got really big at DIS. Teachers are encouraged to push initiatives that they are passionate about, and they're supported to do that. Again, the tool I'm going to move on to talk about in a second is something that I sort of stumbled across through my own CPD. Partly driven by my master's, partly driven by being on Twitter and looking through a sort of international community of resources. But I've been encouraged to roll that out over school, and that's where we've got to with our Lemire literacy. The things I mentioned earlier on that we're already doing at DIS includes blogging with classes, individual class blogging projects. I've used the forum Kids blog, which you might be familiar with. It's very similar to EduBlogs. And then also the Twitter and the Facebook, as I mentioned earlier. Now, while I've found in my experiences that all of these platforms do provide, to a degree, a worldwide audience, I believe, and I've seen in my class and other classes, that there's limitations to how far these tools can take you. Having a class blog definitely encouraged my writers, definitely motivated reluctant writers. They had a place where they could express themselves about anything they wanted to, and with a click of the button, it was on the computer for their classmates to see. But the real point of that was that it was for their classmates to see. At a push, it would be for another teacher from the school, maybe the principal, maybe the director, but their audience was still confined to within our school community. So yes, they learned how to use technology to express themselves. They learned about the responsibility of writing online. But in terms of getting to a worldwide audience, I felt with the blogging like we were coming against stumbling blocks. There's lots of initiatives out just now, some really brilliant ones about quad blogging, where you can sign up to be part of a blogging community with 2 or 3 other schools, and then almost get into a kind of contract of we'll comment on your blog if you comment on our blog, which is great. It extends it a little bit further, but to me, still not enough. With the Twitter and the Facebook, it's a great way of bringing the community together, but again, I feel like it's perhaps more slanted towards secondary students. For primary students, it's more about dissemination of information. It's getting stuff out there, it's sharing. It's not necessarily engaging writers. Yes, it's a great platform, but what I wanted was something that was going to really motivate and engage my writers. This is a cycle which has been sort of pulled from various different sources and adapted to how I see literacy learning at our school. I talked to lots of colleagues as I was making this, and I guess the point I'd like to make is that I think that in any good literacy teaching, you could start at any point in this cycle. These are all core words that we're all doing in good teaching and learning. It's nothing new, it's nothing terribly inventive. It's just the idea that when a child creates a piece of work in literacy, whether it's writing, whether it's reading, whether it's speaking and listening, the first thing they should be doing after creating is reflecting on their learning. As teachers, we're reflecting all the time. We're encouraging the students to do the same. What's the point in reflection if you don't try and improve? We're trying at DIS to make sure that our students are always aware of targets. They know where they're going next. They know how to improve in their learning. And then it's about sharing, whether it's with a peer, whether it's with a parent, whether it's with another student, or with Lemire Literacy and the platform I'll show you with the rest of the world. They should get to share what they do. What's the point in writing if it stays in a book, or at best it goes on a wall display for maybe 3-4 weeks until you need to change it? The next step, obviously, in celebrating the writing, encouraging children to feel empowered as writing. Part of our drive and our vision is to empower our students. We want them to feel empowered and celebrate their writing. The celebration, as I'm sure you've all experienced, ultimately motivates and engages students to then create something else. So it's a continual cycle, and from my experience, I've taught in all three key stages at DERA, and I would say that this cycle is going on all over the place. As a school, this is what we're aiming for in literacy. So it brings me to the tool that I found last June. I stumbled across Lend Me Your Literacy. And Lend Me Your Literacy is an online platform where teachers can upload photographs of student writing into a safe online community where an online audience is provided for you. I cannot stress the simplicity of it as a tool, and I'll go on to show you how it's impacted my students in my class and now our school as a whole. Basically, the community operates by teachers uploading and then commenting on other children's work. It's the company's based in England, but they've got participants in schools from all over the world. They've got commenters from all over the world. It really does provide the worldwide audience that I've been looking for my students. The map here, you can see where the red and yellow flashes are, just show you the views. And over the last 30 days, when I took this screenshot last week, there had been 35,224 views in the last 30 days. So they get a lot of traffic to the site, and so therefore the children's writing that you upload as a teacher gets continually commented on and continually hit. The concept of the worldwide audience has really started to be fed through our classrooms at DERA, and the children are asking lots of questions. You know, they'll log on of a morning, or they'll come in and it'll be on the whiteboard of a morning, or somebody will have checked it at home with their families. And this particular picture was taken after my students got some feedback from Liverpool. Now, they were really excited that a teacher somewhere else had commented on their writing, but they had absolutely no idea where Liverpool was. So out came the atlas, out came the globe, out came an investigation as to how far their writing had travelled. And it really does mesmerise our students when we look at a world map and we say, okay, you wrote here, and someone over there is reading it, especially when someone's giving really supportive, positive feedback. And you know yourself to read the writing. Everything that goes up there is moderated by a central team, so the comments are always positive and always encouraging. It's a safe space for children to have a worldwide audience. This is the front face of the site, and I'll just very briefly take you through some of the things that you can do on there. As a school, you can set up a portfolio where you can submit regular pieces of work to the website. This becomes like a sort of central blog of your class or your school's writing. We found this a really interesting way to sort of group our writers together in DERA, and we've got year group portfolios that publish every week. The section on the blue section on the side there is also a really, really useful tool in terms of teacher professional development. As a teacher at an international school in Dubai, we're very rich in terms of the diversity that we've got of students, but also diversity of teachers. We come from different curricula, we come with different experiences. It's been really useful for us as teachers to use this blue section as a moderation facilitator. So through this part, you can search for work by any genre, by any year group, by any destination, or you can go through the different topics or text types. And we've used it as a moderation tool. Okay, this is what I think a level 3 piece of work looks like. Take a piece of moderation, have a look at it as a team. It just gives you a feel, and it can also give you some really good teaching ideas. If you know you're doing explanatory text, but you've taught explanatory text in the same way for the last couple of times you've done it, on there you might well find that someone's lending you their literacy. It's not necessarily the children's work itself you're looking at, but you're looking at the concept of a teaching strategy. The point up there is sort of in between two important ones, that arrow. The guest commenters are people who have an active interest in children's literacy. I began looking at the site as part of my university studies, and I was asked to be a guest commenter with them, but they've got a range of authors, of poets, of actors, they've got some footballers from the UK who are commenting to try and encourage children's writing. It's a good CV builder, I think, as well, to be engaging with other schools around the world. So inside the site, this is how our portfolio looks, and the children can track their views and their comments. So we publish work every week from our class, and I'll leave this on the board and the children will come in, and the first question invariably on a Sunday morning is, can we count how many views? Can we see how many hits? Can we see who's been looking at our writing? So over there, the piece of writing that the arrow's at has got 173 views, 7 likes, 1 favourite and 11 comments, and that was within 4 days of the piece being published. So the impact for the kids is pretty big. Another part of the way we've used Lynmere Literacy that I think is particularly relevant for today is the drive that we are all experiencing in Dubai schools for raising attainment and engagement in more than one language. I've found that the Arabic and AFL teachers that we're colleagues with have also been very supportive and engaged with the use of Lynmere Literacy in Arabic and English. The comments that have been going on for the Arabic work we've posted have been predominantly in English, but some have been in Arabic as well. And for our children, there was this particular piece of work was done by an Arabic child who, when it was posted, there was a comment written from a retired teacher in Australia who'd gone off and Googled somewhere in Google Translate how to say congratulations, and she was just overwhelmed that this man had then written in Arabic on the comments from Australia on her work. Since that was posted just before the winter break, Lana's had 341 views, 37 comments, and they've come from 7 countries around the world. So she's really had the experience of being a writer for a worldwide audience. And certainly her motivation and her engagement, her confidence as a writer has definitely been on the increase. Just to show you some of the other things that Lynmere Literacy do to help promote writing in our school. They've got a very big presence in Twitter. I'll show you at the end all the links to their Twitter feeds, but they're very good at helping you to promote what you do. So as soon as you post a piece of work, they'll tweet it out to their followers, they'll encourage their followers and their linked authors to get involved and comment on your children's work. I use it, and lots of my colleagues also use it in terms of the beginnings, the starters of our lessons. This particular photograph was taken when we were learning about recounts. It's a bit dark, but basically, if you can see, the children are all sitting at the whiteboard. I've pulled a work sample of a recount that was written by somebody in the UK. And I'm sure as teachers, you've been in the same situation with me when you're trying to teach a particular genre and you're trying to make a sample text to show either what's right or what's not quite right yet in that sample text. You've got banks and banks and banks of sample texts on there. I pulled this recount, as I say, from somewhere in the UK. I just posted it up. As soon as they see Lynmere Literacy in the toolbar, they know it's something to do with their writing. And the kids are sitting here just now, and I just asked them the question, why do you think this recount got published? Because we use the language of being a published author. I'm a published author. If you work hard, you'll become a published author. So I left this up there for them, and they're just peer sharing just now on the carpet there about why they think that work got published. So we then write the list of why it got published, and those become the success criteria. Well, yes, that year 2 student has used finger spaces. Yes, they've used varied openers. So we made the list of why he got published, and then that becomes the student success criteria. I am a real ICT enthusiast, but I'm also a bit of a traditional literacy teacher, and I want my kids to write neatly, and I want them to aim high with presentation. And I feel that this really sort of combines the best of both worlds, of traditional literacy and of sort of more modern digital literacy. These are some of my little ones. We're lucky enough at DIS to have access to an iPod trolley, which we share across the primary school. And these guys have chosen during their reward time to go on Lynmere Literacy, and they're peer commenting. Just now, we've set up logins with our portfolio so the students can log in independently. Again, all the comments that they post get moderated before they're shared. But the empowerment for them of sitting with a partner and independently commenting on other children's work has really motivated them, because they know that they're getting to give really meaningful feedback. It's not just sort of in-book feedback. We celebrate a lot. I think the smiles probably can say more than I could if I stood here for another half hour, but the impact of seeing their work online, getting comments, and then being able to walk around school, parading around with a published author star has had a massive impact on the children. We celebrate as well, there's a picture coming up, we've got a wall of fame in our primary foyer where we celebrate. This is a peer buddying lesson which took place between year 2 and year 4. Again, my year 2s are very literate in terms of using the website. They know it inside out. They can log on without any support. The year 4s obviously brought with them reading skills that surpassed my year 4s. So this was a guided reading buddy session between year 2 and year 4. My guys got them logged onto the website and sorted out with how you comment, but the year 4s were then able to read higher level writing to my students. So they were pushing on their literacy skills and their technology skills by working together and leaving comments. This was just before the winter break. On Lendmere Literacy, they're big on promoting the idea of sort of healthy competition, not comparison of children's writing so much, but just again motivating them with a purpose and an audience, taking them beyond a book of best work, beyond a display board of best work, and getting them to really engage with other students around the world. There was a winter writing competition that happened just before the holidays, and my kids were very keen to take part, and we showed a few stimulus photographs that had been provided on the website. Now this one's of a really snowy field, I'm not sure if you can see it, but they were doing some see, think, wonder discussions about what they could see in the snowy field. They then chose whether they wanted to write a winter story about winter as they see on the photograph or winter in Dubai, and lots of them were very proud to write winter stories based in the UAE and how we don't have snow but winter looks different for us. But again, they got to contribute to this competition with other children. That's our wall of fame. It's a very simple idea. It's just a display board downstairs with laminated year levels, and each week we have all of our published work submitted by a Thursday. The turnaround's very quick. It's always up there for the next working week for us. So the teachers would submit by a Thursday, and then the following Sunday display the student's name on the wall of fame. That again is in the middle of the primary foyer. Everybody passes it, there's lots of traffic. So the older students who are maybe a bit reluctant to wear a laminated star and be as excited as the little ones, they get to see that they're on the wall of fame, and they get acknowledged by other teachers. Oh, I saw your name on the published author list, and it's certainly done a lot. And we're keeping track of where our comments are coming from around the world. One of the sort of biggest motivators for our class was, I began using Lendmere Literacy just as I say as a CPD and as a trial in my own class, and we were lucky enough to get permission to have a Lendmere Literacy Day. The guys behind the website run CPD for teachers, and they run writing workshops for the students. For my children, having the people who made Lendmere Literacy and who are the facilitators for getting their work out there come to the school was a big motivator. We had a day where they came and did a creative writing workshop with our students, and then everybody who is in the class, everybody gets their work published afterwards. So all of our work went on a portfolio. And then it got a little bit wild because my children decided that they didn't think they had enough comments, and they'd written so brilliantly they wanted even more. So this became our Twitter campaign, and they had this picture taken with "We are 2P from Deira International School. Please look at our amazing work on Lendmere Literacy. We would love to get lots of comments. Thank you." And so then we tweeted that out to the parents. The school Twitter retweeted it out to all of their followers. And at the moment, we've got 1,012 views and 78 comments from around the world. So again, the kids know when you get out there, you put something out on social media, you do it correctly, you do it safely, there's an impact, and people will come and read your stuff. The next slide really just takes you through just how simple it is. I know as a teacher that we are all super busy. And so when someone comes to me with another initiative and says, this is what we're going to try now, I want to know that it's not going to take up any more of my time, that it's not going to be something that's too time consuming or too hard work. It literally is what you're doing already. You're doing the teaching, you're doing the learning. It's just sharing what you're doing and giving that audience. when you have if you get the chance to register and have a look at the site, you'll see that there's such a range of writing on there. There's emergent writing from the early years, literally mark making. There's 4 or 5 page essays from up to year 6, 7. But there's also somewhere in between. I published one child in my class at the beginning of the year who was a very reluctant writer, and he wrote one speech bubble that said, "When I grow up, I want to be a chef." Now that for him was the best I'd had. He was super enthusiastic because he thought he might get published. I published that one speech bubble, one sentence, and he's had so many hits on that sentence. It doesn't need to be extended literacy, it's just what you're doing already. It's super easy to share the work. It's literally just like uploading a photograph to other social media, to Facebook or Twitter, with a little bit of explanation about what the learning's been that's going on in school. You send the photograph or upload it on the site, and the Lemmuir Literacy team do all the publishing for you. I would encourage you, if you do, try and use it to keep it something that you refer to quite a lot in your class, so the children can check on the comments and see the views sort of racking up and celebrate it. We've moved towards engaging the extended school community in what we're doing, and at DIS we've got a very active secondary school English department, and some of our IB students have been involved in commenting on the work. You obviously saw the buddying system as well. We're trying to engage wider than just the primary section. We've also got the parents involved in a really simple way. When the students get published, they go home with either a note if they're old enough to remember to hand it over, or a little paper bracelet if they're not, that just says, "Today I got published on Lemmuir Literacy. This is the parent login. Please log in with me and I'll show you my work at home." And that means the link can then be shared with the parents at home, and then if they choose to further, can be sent. I've had some children send theirs to Granny and Grandad overseas because they want to see their writing as well. The motivation and engagement and attainment across the classes in our school that have been using it has gone up consistently. The feedback from teachers, the feedback from parents, but most importantly, the feedback from the students has been across the board really, really positive. The kids want to write more. They can see that there's a purpose for it and their writing's going somewhere. It's not going to get lost. The cycle that's on there is a sort of simplified version of the one that I showed you in the initial slides. And there's a few things over the next sort of couple of things that come up are just things that we're already doing at DERA that might be useful for you. These are things that have worked for us that might also work for you. Allowing the students to have a bit of time in class. I use it as a fast finishers activity that they can go on there, they can have a look by themselves. They can comment at home as well. We've got student logins and teacher logins, student logins rather, and parent logins for them to do some things at home. It can be independent writing. I've had really reluctant writers come in from home with extra writing they've done at home with their parents, and normally a note in the diary saying, "Can you have a little look at this?" If you need to motivate or celebrate a reluctant writer, it's been a great tool for us. As I mentioned earlier, all genre, all standards, all abilities. It doesn't need to be those best bits of writing that are going to go in portfolios. It can literally be anything that's been completed. The buddy sampling I already talked about. The school links is something which I think would be really great. We'd love to see other schools in Dubai getting involved as well, and we'd love to be linking up with other schools and allowing the children to share their writing across other schools. The community collaboration on comments, again, just bringing in important people to the students. We've had our links to writing tweeted out to authors that we've been studying, or we've spoken LinkedIn visitors and things and asked them to comment on our writing as well. It just gives a real community feel. As I said, the teacher moderation tool is good in terms of your own CPD and understanding how different writing's taught from around the world. Our IB students are involved. The Wall of Fame I've spoken about, and the Twitter. Just before I finish up, in the conference packs that were given today, Lemmuir Literacy have supported What Works today, and they have given the opportunity for a competition for all schools who are at What Works to participate in. You can submit a piece of writing onto the website just by registering on the website. Submit one piece of writing, again, any age, any standard. and there will be a draw from the submitted pieces of work that come in before the 6th of February. And from that draw, there's going to be a Lemmuir Literacy workshop. They're coming out in February to work with our school again and some other schools around Dubai and Abu Dhabi. So they're going to give away a free workshop for the winning school from that competition. I would encourage you, if you can do, to get involved with that. Trial the website for free. I would encourage you to log on and register with it just to see, even if you just use it as a teacher tool rather than a publishing tool, it's definitely worth your while. As at DERA, we've got a very open door policy, and I know that I would be happy and a lot of our colleagues would be happy to share how we're doing things and the impact it's having on our literacy attainment. On Twitter, the Lemmuir Literacy team are at Literacy Lender, and I'm on there at Miss JGM, so feel free to contact me or them if you've got any other information you'd like.